So Om Shanti to everyone who is listening, whether they are in the present form or they are listening on the radio. Hearty welcome to this Ramayana Yajna. And since the past 2 days, we have got this very good fortune from our brother Govind Prasad's family that we have been able to understand some of the deep secrets that are in form of messages in the present time. We have been listening the Ramayana Katha so many times. But there are certain messages which are so incognito that human beings, if they understand, would definitely have this realization that these messages are for us. They are not for anyone else. It is so much related to our practical lives, whether in form of karma, whether in form of feelings, whether in form of thoughts, whatever we generate, how it impacts our life, that is what is shown in the Ramayana Katha. And till yesterday, we heard that Sri Ram had a purpose of coming to this world. And this purpose he did not reveal through words. And that is why it was only Mother Kaikai who understood that Sri Ram is no ordinary soul. He has come to this world with a definite purpose. And so she took this opportunity to help him fulfill his purpose. It is always seen that whenever God had to incarnate, he did not reveal himself in form of words, but through his deeds he would reveal himself. And there are very few out of the thousands who can understand. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita also, in the 7th chapter, it is mentioned by God that when he comes in this world to abolish irreligiousness and establish one true religion, Sat Dharma, then he comes in the most ordinary form. And that is why out of the thousands, only few make efforts to realize and recognize him, and out of those few also, only few are able to realize his true form, because he comes in the most ordinary form to perform his task. And whoever takes this opportunity in their practical lives, because we can all see that in this present world, this is the time when there is so much of irreligiousness going on. So according to his promise, definitely he has to come. But he would not bang drums and say, "Oh, I have come, I have come, I have come." That is not his way. That is not his way of revealing himself. Because if he starts revealing by banging those big drums that I have come, then human beings would never believe him. So he comes in the most incognito way. He has to perform some task. And so those who are able to realize and recognize him are the fortunate ones. And they become a part that let us become instruments to serve God to help him serve the world, to help him do his task. And therefore, Kaikai took this opportunity to help him lead his life in the way he wanted to. And that is why when she came to know that he would at least need 14 years to abolish this irreligiousness from the world, that is when she asked for the 2 promises that she had got when Dasrath had promised her. So she said that Bharat can look after the kingdom affairs, and Sri Ram would definitely do his task for which he has come for in this world. And Sri Ram smiles, and he takes the blessings of his mother Kaikai, because he was very close to him. Although his mother was Kaushalya, but Mother Kaikai was very close to Sri Ram. And so he takes his blessing and moves forward. Lakshmana accompanies him so that he is able to become his strength and purity. Mother Sita accompanies him. It is said that till yesterday we saw that when Sumant was told by Dasrath that you go and accompany them, they are yet very young, they do not have any experience. That is the father's attachment, that he is always accustomed to see his children as very young without any experiences of this world. So he asked Suman that why don't you go with them? And Sri Ram says, at this moment when he is lying on his deathbed, his good deeds are very essential for him, because he needs you by his side. Then only he can experience the pain and sorrow less. Otherwise, the pain and sorrow would increase. And we saw this wonderful story of Shravan Kumar, that how, because he performed or used his talent unknowingly also, but he took the life of somebody, and who was the pillar or who was the support of his parents. And so when they curse him, so it gives us this message that unknowingly also whatever karma we perform in our lives, we have to reap the fruits of those karmas also, those actions also. It will not spare us. We cannot give this excuse, oh, I was not knowing about it. No, but the karma has to reap its fruits. And so he also had to reap his fruit. So Dasrath on the deathbed, past deeds or karma does not allow one to enjoy a blissful life. Does not allow anyone to enjoy Ram Rajya. Thus one who was the master of all sense organs is influenced by the senses and gets disempowered. That is, he becomes the prisoner of his own senses because of his karma. And that is how, without any of his sons, he also has to leave the body with so much of pain. So God always, through his practical example, teaches us something wonderful. And I think we should also have a deep realization. Sometimes we should have reflections whenever we are sitting in such a beautiful satsang. Let us reflect in our life whether unknowingly also I am not deviated in my life, and am I not doing any karma out of a state of ego? Because if I am doing such actions, then I would have to reap for those actions also. So, when the three move forward, they let Suman go again back to the palace, and then they go to the Ganges. Sri Ram, the embodiment of wisdom, accompanied by renunciation of ego, evils, and purity, proceed further. And Sri Ram meets his childhood friend, Nishad Raj. And when he comes to his kingdom, Nishad Raj, when he comes to know about it, he is like, he wants to help his friend in every possible manner that he can. He is willing to leave his kingdom also in the service of Ram. But God does not accept the service of everyone in such a manner. Wherever he needs their service, definitely he makes them an instrument and takes the service. So similarly, those who become an instrument in his service are the fortunate ones. Today I realize that Brother Govind Prasad and Sister Radhika have become an instrument, that they are able to pass this message to all of you. They are so fortunate. And all those souls who are cooperating them in accomplishing this yajna without any obstacles, whether they are helping them in whichever way, they are also taking this chance. They are also taking this opportunity and gaining some fortune in their lives also. So I congratulate all of you souls who are connected with this yajna to fully accomplish it. And it is said that when Nishad Raj asked Sri Ram, in which way I can be helpful to you? So Sri Ram says, we want to cross this Ganges. If we can just get a boat. So his favorite boatman is known as Guhu. And Guhu means a grahastha. Guhu means a grahastha. So he asked Guhu, who is a grahastha, can you take my Lord across the Ganges, and so that they can reach the Triveni Sangam, where the three rivers meet, the Ganga, Jamna and Saraswati. So it is said that Guhu was a very intelligent grahastha. So he says, definitely I would take in my boat, and his boat was of pure thoughts. And that is the time when Sri Ram tried to offer the payment of taking them across. So he takes out his ring and his offering as a rent for that boat. And beautiful lines are said by that grahastha, that Guhu, and he says, you are also a boatman and I am also a boatman. How can we charge one another? Very intelligent, he says. Because boatmen, when they are both boatmen, how can they charge one another? They help one another. So, when he says, you are also boatmen who takes the people of this world across the Sansar Sagar, the ocean of their Sansar. I am just taking you from here to there. So how can I charge you? How can I take the rent from you? But still he is trying to insist, no, you have to take something. A beautiful message here that when the Supreme Being also incarnates in this world, He does not want to be obliged by human beings. They should not have this feelings, oh, we have done, this ego consciousness when it comes in human beings. I was there to help him. I helped the Lord Himself also. So this feeling of ego should not come in human beings. That is why He insists, why don't you take your rent? And that is when that Guru says, look, if you really want to give me the rent for this boat, now I would ask you, I would not like to have the rent here, give me there. Give me there. He was not happy with the limited thing that from this world. So he says, give me there. Means he wanted to serve him out of great humility, and he did not want to take the return of that service here itself in this world. Many a times we also contribute something for the benefit of the society, maybe, for mankind, for humanity. But in today's world, we normally see whenever people help, they have this desire that we get the fruits here itself, and our nameplate should be kept so that everyone comes to know, I have donated this much, or I have given this much, or I have helped, extended my cooperation this much. This feeling of getting the return here itself. And those who take that return here, who publicize their names in front of everyone, remember, according to the karma philosophy, they have taken the fruits here itself, so nothing is accumulated for the future births. Remember. There are some who do not want to have the nameplates, so that from time to time people coming after generations should also know. But they have this feeling, oh, at least we should get the honor. In that gathering, we should get the respect. We should get the honor. So those who contribute out of this feeling also that we should be honored, about 50% of their account of accumulation is also finished. So they are able to take only 50% for the future births. And some people might have this feeling, at least it should be mentioned. People should come to know. And what do they say? At least if I donate and if they come to know, they would get the inspiration that they would also do such an act. Now those who donate with that feeling also, they get the 25% of return here only. So they only take with them only 75% of the punya. So remember, anywhere, subtly also we have this desire that people should know that I have contributed this much, never becomes the punya karma and is going with us in the future lives. So similarly, Sri Ram also was testing the grahastha. What is his desire? God takes our test from time to time to see how much worthy we are whenever we do such punya karma also. So he tests the grahastha and he insists, why don't you take here? So he says, if you really want to give me, I don't want it here, give me there. He wants the full account in the future. And that is why those people who do their contribution in an incognito way, as it is said in India, when a person donates with this hand also should not know about it. Such incognito donation when they do, that is fully carried for the next lives also. So this is what teaching, this is the teaching that we get from this incident of Ramayana. Whatever we do, God will definitely take your test. What are your real feelings that should come out? So don't fail in that. A little bit of desire also is seen. We are eating the punya itself here, and hardly some would be carried forward. So never ever make this mistake of getting the glorification, getting the honor, getting the respects, getting the name and fame. If we have this feeling inside, it is as if we are taking the fruits here itself. Nothing will be accumulated for the future. Beautiful message Sri Ram gives us through his practical action. And as the Grahastha put them on the other side, on the banks of Triveni, it is said that they had the darshan of the great rishis. And they were able to see Rishi Bhardwaj, who advised them to stay at Chitrakoot. He goes to the great Rishi and he takes the guidance from him. Lord Sri Ram did not have the need to take any guidance from anyone. But still, the act of humility, that when he is in the human form, what we should do, sometimes people, when we advise them, give them advice out of great humility, try to make them cautious about something, the immediate reaction is, we know what we are doing. You don't have to tell us. Now this is the ego. So Sri Ram is teaching us through his life how in front of elders, great souls, pure souls, we should be humble. And so when he meets Rishi Bhardwaj, it is said when he is going to his hut to meet Rishi Bhardwaj, who is a very great Rishi. And as they were crossing the feet, because they were walking bare feet, naked feet, they were getting the pebbles, stones and the thorns in their legs. So Lakshmana, without realizing, he was like from time to time cursing Mother Kaikeyi. And so when he spoke, what type of feeling that Mother Kaikeyi have, that we are going through all these pains. And immediately, whenever Lakshman spoke of any ill word also towards Mother Kaikeyi, it is shown that Sri Ram immediately stopped him. And look at the positive thinking that he is teaching us in practical life. Whenever we have to go through any trials, any test papers in life, Sri Ram says, look, it is the blessing of Mother Kaikeyi that today we are able to get the darshan of such great rishis. If we would have got into the activities of the kingdom's affairs, we would never get this chance of getting the darshan of such great rishis. The respect that he is showing towards those pure souls, those rishis who are leading such a brahmacharya life, celibate life. So Sri Ram also is like respecting their celibacy. So similarly, in today's world also, all those pure souls who practice celibacy in their life, how much respect do we have for them? It gives us a realization that Lord Ram paid so much of high respects, and he becomes so humble. At that time, he teaches human mankind how you have to be humble and have respect for all those souls who are leading a celibate life. And in the name of God, they have surrendered, dedicated their lives. We should never speak anything ill about them. Otherwise, that is a greatest karma. Greatest karma that we are accumulating. And God will also not spare us for that. For that. Remember, somebody who has dedicated their life for a noble cause, in the service of God, in the service of human mankind. And if we start speaking ill about them, is this a positive karma or a negative karma? What is the realization that we get? It is not a positive karma. And we do not achieve any punya for that. Remember, it is a sinful act. The words are not punya, accumulating punya. So immediately Sri Ram stops. Lakshman also, when he speaks about Mother Kaikeyi, and said, because of her blessings only, today we are able to get the darshan of these great souls. This is also our punya. Realize that. Don't speak anything against Mother Kaikeyi. Immediately he stopped. Many a times, this is also another lesson that we learn from this scene, that always respect your parents. Always respect your parents. No matter what they have done, don't ever say any ill word about them, because they are the ones who have brought you to this world. They have given you life. They have tolerated so much because of you, to bring you in this world, to educate you. They have gone through so many pains. We may not know about it. Never speak ill about our parents. Practically, Sri Ram is doing this action. And when Lakshman, out of ignorance, because he didn't know about the truth, so when he is speaking any ill word about Mother Kaikeyi, immediately he stops. This is another sinful act that you are performing. Never say ill about your parents. No matter whether they are your real parents or whether they are your step parents, but they are great for you. Always see them with that high vision. Always respect them with that high vision. And you don't accumulate any sinful act because of that. What a beautiful teaching Sri Ram is teaching through his practical life. And that is when Rishi Bhardwaj advised them that you should now go to Chitrakoot, which is a place of reasoning and understanding. You should stay there for some time. That is a beautiful land where you will gain some knowledge. You will understand some deep secrets. You will get a path. From where you have to go, you will get the inspiration from that place. And So when he takes this blessings and guidance from him and goes up to Chitrakoot, stays there for some time. And by that time it is said, Bharat came from his uncle's home, and when he came to know about what had happened, he was very, very much in sorrow. So he says, I cannot allow Sri Ram, my elder brother, to go like this in the exile for 14 years. I will bring him back. So with the whole kingdom, subjects, family members, he goes to the jungles with this feeling that no, I would say sorry on my mother's behalf and I'll bring my brother. See the love of the brothers. Today in Kali Yuga we are not able to see such love amongst brothers. So Sri Ram's life gives us the teaching, wherever you are, when you respect your parents, we will definitely see that the love amongst brothers would also be so unique. So Bharat takes the whole kingdom, all the subjects accompany him, and he goes up to Chitrakoot. The feelings of surrender, the feelings of dedication, and that aura that he has of positive energy, he wants to bring back Lord Ram. So when he is going, it is said that Lakshman sees the flag from a distance. When he was on the height, he was able to see as if he's coming with the whole army. He does not want us to stay here in the jungles also peacefully. So he says, before he reaches my Ram, let me stop him. So he takes up his bow and arrow and he wants to just finish off everyone. That pain in him was so great. That is why he says, before they reach my brother Ram, I would stop them. And I would never allow them to reach. So he takes up his bow and arrow and he moves forward. And as soon as Sri Ram sees him, he says, Lakshman, what are you doing? So he says that, look, I can see our flag of Ayodhya, and it seems as if Bharat is coming with the whole army, and he does not want us to stay here in nearby areas also. So he's coming with the whole army. So before he can reach you, I will finish them off. And a beautiful teaching here Sri Ram gives to Lakshman. Lakshman, never perform a karma for which you have to repent afterwards. Without knowing the intention of the person, you should never do such an act for which you have to repent the whole lifetime. Many a times we also do say certain words for somebody, whatever comes to our mind, out of our anger, out of our jealousy, whatever we may be speaking. But later when we come to know about their intention, we regret so much. And even though if we say sorry, that sorry is not going to help, never going to heal the wounds of others. So, a very beautiful teaching that we get from this scene of Ramayana, that Ram tells Lakshman, that is, we all, never do such a karma, never say a word in your life for somebody that afterwards, when you come to know their intentions, you have to repent the whole of your lifetime. And we find that sometimes people land up in depression because of this. Because without knowing the intention of the other person, they start speaking so much of ill about them. And when they come to know about the intentions, and they are not able to show their face in front of anyone, and that is when they have so many negative thoughts, and they land up in depression. They get great shock. So beautiful teaching from this scene, that in our lives also, in the present world, because this is a world of Kali Yuga, so every day we speak something or the other, some words just slip out of our tongue. And later we come to know about this, their intention. So Sri Ram teaches us through his practical action, and he stops Lakshman. Stop. First, see what intention they have come. And he's trying to make him realize. So this is a time for reflection for ourselves also. Let us reflect just for today. Did I say any such word during the whole day from morning till evening where I have hurt somebody's feelings unknowingly also? It is a reflection for us to see our own self. Because in this Kali Yuga world, every day we are saying something or the other. And how many times in the day we just have to say sorry? Sorry, this was not what I meant. I'm so sorry if I've hurt you. I'm so sorry if I've said this to you. Please try to understand my feelings. Don't look at my words. How many times do we have to say this during our day? And really, when Bharat comes and he falls at the feet of Sri Ram, after great persuasion by Ram, he requests him, no, you have to come back. You have to come back. And he says, what about my mother's promise? Look how much respect still he has for his mother. What about my mother's promise? So I will have to fulfill her promise. And so I cannot come. But after great persuasion from Bharat, he then tells Bharat, okay, I will come, but not physically. You take my slippers. Until I come back home, rule the kingdom on my behalf. Can you do that for me? And this is my order. That till I come back, you take charge, you rule on my behalf as a representative. Is that okay? And that is when Bharat had no other words but to obey the command of his elder brother. What love is shown, and that is why Bharat Milap is said to be the greatest Milap on this earth. In history, nowhere we saw such a Milap between two brothers. And that is when Lakshman realizes his mistake. I had so much of negative feelings. Sometimes we have negative feelings for somebody without knowing their intention, why they have come to us. So Lakshman has so much realization at this time. It was good that Ram stopped me. Otherwise today I would have performed such a grave act for which I would have not been able to forgive myself throughout my life. So taking it as a command of the Lord, he agreed to rule the kingdom only as a representative of Lord Ram, his elder brother. This is interpreted as dedication, agrees to follow the footsteps of wisdom. Bharat was full of dedication, surrender, feelings of surrender for his elder brother. And Sri Ram, who is the embodiment of wisdom, so when dedication agrees to follow the footsteps, the slippers that he get means, follow my footsteps, rule the kingdom on my behalf, but as I would have done, follow my footsteps. Do not do injustice to anyone. Remember that. So beautiful lesson that we learn from this scene of Ramayana. And that is when Bharat agrees. He takes the slipper and puts them on his head. So much of respect, regard. The respect and regard that he is practically showing, it is not just to show in front of the world. No, that was from his heart. And this is what they teach us, that always have respect and regard for elders. Always have respect and regard for the elders who are in our family. And after that, Sri Ram, Lakshman and Sita ji leaves Chitrakoot and they go onwards on their journey. And on their way, they meet the great sage Atri, and his wife Ansuya. Atri Rishi. Atri stands for, Atri, this word means truth, who was the embodiment of truthfulness. So, sage Atri and his wife Ansuya, an embodiment, Ansuya was the embodiment of loyalty and faithfulness. This shows how we should be in a household family. Today, the husbands are not the embodiment of truth, and their wives are not the embodiment of loyalty and faithfulness. But the sages, they have taught that even in a household life, how we have to live. When there is understanding, when there is truthfulness, there is understanding. And the other is responding with loyalty and faithfulness. But today, we hear every third marriages end up in divorce. Not just in the Western countries, but nowadays this custom is coming in India also. So many divorce cases are taking place. Why? No loyalty, no truthfulness, no faithfulness in the relationship. So how in our household life, when we have these values, then we are able to become great sages, like sages, even in Kali Yuga. So that is shown through this couple, Rishi Atri and his wife Ansuya. And they go to them for their blessings and their advice. And during that time it is said that Sati Ansuya, she gives blessings to Sita ji. And she calls Sita ji and she gives her a pair of clothes which are said to be divine clothes. She gives them the blessing of divine clothes. And this divine clothes which Sita ji wore, it is said that they would never get dirty, because where are they going to wash? Many times people ask us this question. It is said that they were given the divine dress. And by wearing on the divine dress, they never get dirty, there was no need for them to wash them and take another pair of clothes and this and that, all the things of necessity. They were empty-handed. So many a times people used to ask and wonder, what about their clothes? Were they always wearing those dirty clothes for 14 years? No, they were divine clothes. Divine clothes. So that divinity that they have in their life, that is the divine. That aura is such that would never make the clothes also get dirty. Not just the physical clothes, but the soul would never be influenced by any of the dirt of the world. So these were the divine powers that they grant and adorn them with, that they did not need anything besides that. So when such great rishis, when we meet such great rishis who in their life lead a life with so much of truthfulness, loyalty and faithfulness, in a household life also, they are like rishis in household life. So we have to respect such rishis even though they are householders. And then they go further, and it is said that they come to a place which is known as Panchavati. Panch means 5. So Panchavati, and they reside there, where the 5 elements of nature, Panchavati means where the 5 elements of nature are at their service, at the service of the Lord. That means that when we become the embodiment of knowledge, spiritual understanding, when we inculcate purity and divinity in our life, and when we renounce ego, when we renounce the negativities from our life, that is when the 5 elements of nature would also surrender at your feet. They will be ready to serve you. They would not cause harm to you. They would be at your service, providing everything that you would need. The 5 elements of nature were at the service of Sri Ram. So from Sri Ram's life, we get this beautiful teaching. If we don't harm nature, nature will be at our service. But if we keep on harming nature also, so Sri Ram's life was such that he did not even want to give sorrow to any human being, but at the same time his life was giving this message, don't even give harm to the nature, Mother Earth. Then only nature will be at your service. Such elevated feelings for nature, for human beings, for elders, for rishis. What an example. What an example. It teaches us at every level how we have to maintain our relationship with each and every one. With our elders, with our rishis, with our... in today's world, the rishis are the ones who are at least doing some good task for the society. Our priest, although they are leading in a household life, but our priest, they are trying to teach us something. So we should have respect for them. So, in this Ramayana Katha, at every step there is a message. At every step there is a message for us. And so when they reside in Panchavati, it is this place where Suparnakha comes in. So the first test paper was mantra, and the second test paper is Suparnakha, the sister of Ravan, and an embodiment of desire. She had so many desires in her. There was so much of feelings of lust in her. And so when she sees Sri Ram, she is attracted to him. And so she approaches Ram for the satisfaction of her lust, adopts a beautiful form, and proposes Sri Ram. And see how Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram is. Maryada Purushottam. We call him Maryada Purushottam. That he had this Maryada in his life, that I have only one wife in my life. That is the Maryada, the code and conduct of human life. So it teaches us how we can also live in Maryada. We also have to live in Maryadas. One wife. But here in this Kali Yuga world, what happens? In the home there is one, outside there is one, somewhere else there is one, then they fall in a trap. And after they fall in a trap, then there is no other alternative just to commit suicide for them. People have to die just because of that. So, when she approaches Sri Ram and proposes him, Sri Ram smiles at her because he is able to know her. Being Maryada Purushottam, when he has this purity in his life, so he says, I have purity in my life. I have already got Sita with me. So, there is no need for me to have another wife in my life. But then Sri Ram also points to Lakshmana. Lakshmana is alone. You can try him. You know? Just such a beautiful way. He is testing Lakshmana also. How much feelings of renunciation has he really adopted in his life? How much he is following the footsteps of Sri Ram? So he wanted to test him also, whether he is missing his wife or not. So he wants to see his feelings also. So he tells Suparnakha, you can go up to him and try whether he wants. So Suparnakha is also attracted towards Lakshman. And so she goes to him for her satisfaction of her lust. But neither Sri Ram wanted her and neither Lakshman, who was so much, he said, I am in the service of my Ram. And if I take you, then I cannot serve my Ram in a better way. So much of feeling of dedication and surrender, complete renunciation. He did not want anything in his life except Sri Ram. And so, when she was like insisting, so he took up his bow and arrow. He had anger. Very easily he used to get angry. Lakshman is so shown in that way, that how in Kali Yuga also people immediately come in reaction. Anything happens, immediately they get angry. So this is how the character of Lakshman is portrayed as today's human beings. So immediately he takes up his bow and arrow and cuts the nose of Suparnakha. Insult. Cutting the nose means insulting. And he insults him in such a way and disfigures her and sends her away. Go away from here. Insulting him. So it teaches us a lesson. Whenever we insult anyone, remember that wound would be so deep and you will have to pay the fruit of that wound. We'll have to pay the fruit of it. And especially when a female is insulted. Even in Mahabharata it is shown. When Draupadi was insulted. Similarly, when Suparnakha, although she was a devil, but still when she was insulted. So in today's world, before insulting anyone, remember, they may come in our life such a way and create such a havoc in our life. Such a turbulence in our life, will be left nowhere. So it is better to be sweet, and if you don't want anything, there is no need to insult somebody, because otherwise we'll have to pay for that as well. So Suparnakha goes to her brothers Khar and Dushan. Khar and Dushan, who stand for pride and evil. Khar and Dushan. Dushan means dushtata, that is evil. Khar means ego, pride. So she approaches them. But in the battle, it is a very royal battle that they are not able to measure swords with Sri Ram and Lakshman. Whosoever makes use of wisdom before taking any action, and if that wisdom is tempered with renunciation, pride and evil cannot stand before the combination, and automatically they disappear. So this is how they lost the battle, and Khar and Dushan were killed. So now she wants to take the revenge of her insult, Suparnakha. She's raged with it. And so then she goes to Ravan. The climax of the story where Ravan or Dashanan, literally a person with 10 heads, decides to avenge the dishonor done to his sister. Having analyzed that the Aztec princes are no ordinary individuals and have withstood not only Khar and Dushan but also Suparnakha, Dashanan decides to organize an attack with the help of deceit in the form of Marich. So Dashanan, who was so literate, he was well versed with all the scriptures. He was not just a devil. He was not a devil, but he was a Brahmin. He was a Brahmin. So when a Brahmin has such feelings of taking a revenge by deceiving someone, see the result of that also. So he plans and he approaches Marich. And he reminds Marich. Marich did not want to become an instrument to take this revenge. But he reminds him that your mother Tarka was killed by this prince. So you have to take the revenge of your mother, and you will have to help me to play this plot, to play this role. So it is said that although he was very well versed, Ravan was not an ordinary being. He was well read, knowing all the Vedas and the Shastras, the scriptures, having great knowledge of various arts and sciences. Therefore, he is shown as a person having the wisdom of 10 wise people with 10 heads. The 10 heads does not mean that there is a person with 10 heads. But he had the wisdom equivalent to 10 people, 10 wise men. In spite of being so learned and wise, he committed the shameful act of taking away forcibly another man's wife. So being such a literate person, what shameful act he does? Because he was not Maryada Purushottam. Sri Ram was also an embodiment of wisdom. Ravan was also having all the wisdom. Both were having wisdom. But Sri Ram followed the codes and conducts, maryadas of human life, and Ravan did not follow, although being a Brahmin, did not follow the maryadas. So this was the battle between two such learned people. This was the battle. And how Maryada Purushottam wins over the evils. This is shown. So actually today's world is Ravan Rajya. Ravan Rajya was not at the time when in Treta Yuga Sri Ram existed, but today the whole world is Ravan Rajya. Why? Why do I compare this world with Ravan Rajya? It is said Ravan had conquered the 5 elements of nature. You must have heard the story. In Ramayana also, that Ravan had conquered the 5 elements of nature. He had mastered them. And he tied those elements of nature with the bed, the 4 legs of his bed. And it is said that he made them the servants to serve him in his palace. So it is said that Indra used to serve him, and he used to fetch all the water for him, fulfilled whatever the needs he had for water, pure water in his kingdom. Indra was fulfilling that. Agni was cooking all his food. He was like the chef in his kitchen who cooked all the food. Vayu, wherever Ravan would be seated, he used to fan him very gently, being at the service. So 5 elements of nature were at his service. That was the Shakti that he had of commanding the 5 elements of nature. And so it is shown that Ravan had wealth, arth, bal, buddhi and bhakti. All the 4 essential things which is necessary he had. Arth means he had the wealth. His whole Lanka was of gold. So much of wealth. So arth, bal, he had the strength. Arth, bal, buddhi, he had the wisdom. And bhakti, he was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva. So arth, bal, buddhi or bhakti, these are the 5 essential of any human being in their life. 5 necessity. This was in abundance with Ravan. So today's world is compared as Ravan Rajya. Why? As I said, Ravan was not any devil. He was a Brahmin. Means hailing from a higher caste. With all the wisdom. And he had this 4 essential, artha, bal, buddhi and bhakti. And he had mastered the 5 elements of nature and made them as servants who were constantly serving him in his life. Similarly, today's world, if we look in the present scenario, amongst all the creatures, human beings are the highest of all. The highest of all is human being. Coming from a high position. Amongst all the creatures, he is kept to be at the top, who has buddhi. And human beings today have so much of buddhi, and we can see how science has advanced so much. Human beings have made so many discoveries and invented so many things because of the scientific knowledge that they are able to travel in the space. Ravan was said to be traveling in air. He had his own way of traveling through the space. No one could stop him. He was able to travel through underneath the waters. So human beings have also created submarines. They have aeroplanes. They can use the airspace to travel. The submarines below the earth. Scientific advancements. Not only that, so he had buddhi. He had bal. And today human beings also have bal. The strength. And the strength of missiles. The strength of missile. He had the strength that through tapasya, after doing great tapasya, he had the divine weapons from Shiva. Brahmastra Agni Astra, Vayu Astra, all these different astras, shastras, weapons. He had mastered them through his tapasya. And human beings also have all these weapons. Nowadays, the missiles are given these names. In India, I don't know whether you have those missiles here. But the latest missile that is created by science is, in India, is Brahmastra, the name of the missile. They have Agni Astra. They have Prithvi Astra. They have Vayu Astra. So all these different missiles are given these names. And mankind also has mastered all these missiles. They can just with a button or remote button, they are able to send the missiles in whichever direction they want to. And even the length, this many kilometers on this particular city, it should fall. What is this? So, Bal Buddhi, human beings have also mastered that. Bhakti. Just as Ravan used to do so much of bhakti, and he was doing the bhakti of Lord Shiva, that is why Shiva is said to be the highest amongst all. Deva Deva Mahadev. He is beyond all the devas. Mahadev. He was worshipping Mahadev, who is beyond all the deities. And today human beings are also doing so much of bhakti. Every street you will find a temple. Every street. I don't know whether in Trinidad we have so many temples. But in India, every street there are 2 to 3 temples. Every street. Some goddess, some god, some or the other deity you find. Sometimes we have not heard certain names also of gods and goddesses. Such temples have also arisen. And first time we hear such names of such gods and goddesses. Every street has so much of temples, and you find people doing so much of bhakti. Day and night, they do fasting, they do tapasya, they wake through the night. Throughout the night, they do jagran. They do upvas, fasting. Every sort of bhakti they are doing today. Ravan had also done all this bhakti, all these different forms of bhaktis. But we hardly understand the meaning of all of them. Jagran. What do we understand by Jagran? Jagran does not mean waking up through the night. And in today's world we can see how people wake up through the night. Watching movies, because otherwise they would fall asleep. And they have to do Jagran. So throughout the night they watch movies and do Jagrans. What kind of Jagran is this? I don't understand. But people are doing such Jagrans. Or they take some or the other sort of intoxication so that they can stay throughout the night. This is not the Jagran which God is aspiring for from us human beings. No. Jagran means awaken your soul. In this night of Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga is compared to the night. And in this Kali Yuga, night of Kali Yuga, let us awaken our souls. When we are able to awaken our souls, so that we are keeping ourselves safe from the impurities of Kali Yuga, that is Jagran. Don't touch that. Don't touch the impurities, or do not allow the impurities of Kali Yuga ever touch your soul. Keep that away from it. Have constant awakening in such a manner that no impurities ever touch my life, ever touch my soul. That is the Jagran. People do a lot of fasting. What does fasting mean? It reminds me of a beautiful story on how the fasting came into existence. It is said that once a Mahatma was passing through a town and he saw a merchant who was sitting in his shop. So he goes up to him and he says, "Can I have some water to drink?" So that businessman, he is seeing this great soul, Mahatma, he says, "Why just water? Come inside, Mahatma. It is lunch time and I'm going to have my lunch. You would also have the lunch. You must be hungry also." A very good feeling seeing a great soul. So he invites him for lunch. So the Mahatma goes in his house and both of them sit together to have lunch. After the lunch is over, the Mahatma asks the businessman, "So, during the day, how much time do you remember God?" So this businessman says, "The whole day I'm looking after my business. When do I get the time to remember God? I'm a karma yogi. God has assigned me karma yoga. So I have to perform my karma, and that is why I do not get time to remember Him. It is very scarce that I get in time." So the Mahatma smiled and he says, "Okay, another question. How many times food you have during the whole day?" So he says 3 times, breakfast, lunch and dinner. So the Mahatma asked him, "When you are taking food one time, supposing at lunch hour, how much time do you need for lunch, dinner and breakfast?" So he says, "Every time I have half an hour. Half an hour it takes to have lunch, half an hour it takes me to have dinner, half an hour it takes me to have breakfast." So the Mahatma said, "If it is possible for you, this is my humble request. I would like to give you something because I have taken food. So it should not be like free. I have to give you something in return." So the Mahatma gives him an advice that in Kali Yuga, whenever you get time, maybe once a week, if you can go without food for one time, if you can go without lunch for one time, that means you will have half an hour. And in this half an hour, you can remember God. In Kali Yuga, if you remember God once a week for half an hour, that is very much. You will accumulate great punya for that. So the businessman, the merchant says, "Well, I can do that. I think I can fast. I can go without lunch." Then slowly the Mahatma says, "If you can skip your breakfast also and lunch, you will get 1 hour. In Kali Yuga, if you remember once a week 1 hour, that will be a great punya." So the merchant says, "I can do that. I can do that. I can skip my breakfast. It will be good for my health also. I can skip my lunch also. And in the evening I can have dinner. That's fine." Then slowly the Mahatma says, "If you can skip dinner also, then you will have 1.5 hours. If you remember in Kali Yuga for 1.5 hours do bhakti, that will be a great act of punya." So the merchant thinks upon it and he says, "Well, I can do that also. I can do that. I can skip one day without food. Next day I can have it. So one day I will have 1.5 hours to remember Him. I think that is enough." So he takes this inspiration and from then the fasting started. So fasting means upavas. This word has two words, upavas. And up has two meanings. One Sanskrit meaning, one Hindi meaning. Up means, in Sanskrit, it means near. Nazdik, near. And up in Hindi means upar, beyond. So he says that the one who is the resident of the highest world, God, if you are able to take your mind and intellect near Him for one day, in a week, in Kali Yuga, that will be a great act of punya. And you will accumulate good punya karma. At least remember God. This is a yukti, this is a method. So he gives him this method. And that merchant said, I can do that. And from there, upavas started. Upavas, ऊपर निवास करने वाले परमात्मा के नजदीक मेरी बुद्धि का वास रहे. वास means reside. So ऊपर निवास करने वाले, the one who is residing up, if I am able to take my mind and intellect near him and I reside, I be in the company of the Lord for one day, 1.5 hours in Kali Yuga, just skipping your breakfast, lunch and dinner, this will be a great act, or this will be a great tapasya for you. If you can do this much of tapasya in Kali Yuga, that is enough. So this is how upavas began. But afterwards, we can see how upavas are going on in today's world. The day when people do upavas, do fasting, they have more food. Fruits, we want fruits. You know, we have done upavas. Upavas. So their time, which was to surrender, sacrifice the time of taking bhojan, food, to remember God, that meaning is completely forgotten. And people, instead of remembering God the whole day because they are hungry, they remember food only and they look at the time, how many hours left. Some start eating after midnight. I'm so hungry. So hungry. So after midnight, 12 o'clock, they have their food. Because we had upavas the whole day. Now this is not the type of upavas that was suggested by that great soul. But the idea was to remember God, do bhakti, devotion, and if I can just sacrifice one day's food, taking food or giving food to this physical body, health-wise also it will be very good. And when you do such a tapasya for the whole day, you are able to master your mind also. In the initial period, your mind will go on wandering for food because whenever time comes, the saliva starts. But then later on, when you are accustomed to this tapasya, then you conquer that and you get the willpower. So to increase the willpower of human beings, this is why upavas was introduced. That in this Kali Yuga world, God knew, the great souls knew that everybody is so busy they don't have time. Today, if we ask anyone, can you do bhakti? Can you come here for this yajna to listen? Oh, sister, we wanted to come, but. We are so busy, we have so many commitments, we have to go to this place, we have this thing to be accomplished. So I'm so sorry, I wanted to come and listen, but I cannot come, but. And this is what happens, isn't it? It reminds me of a beautiful story. You know, once there was a person who was looking for a job. He said, I want a job. So he went on for so many places looking for a job. Nobody hired him. One day, one person told him, why don't you go to that person? He may hire you. He needs somebody. So he goes up to that person who was a timber merchant. And he says, I'm looking for a job. Can you hire me? So that timber merchant says, well, I want somebody, but what will you do? So he said, I'm strong, young, I can do anything. You just tell me, I will show you what I can do. So he takes him at the backyard, and there was a whole pile of wood. And he said, all this wood has to be cut. Says, no problem, I will cut it. So he says, okay, start off. So he starts off cutting the wood. By evening, the timber merchant thinks, let me go and see what he has done the whole day. So he goes to look at what he has done the whole day, and he sees that he has cut 25 pieces of wood. So he's very happy. He says, you have good efficiency. Well, I'll definitely hire you from today. Every day morning you come 9 o'clock, start cutting the wood till 5 o'clock in the evening. 1 hour you will get rest in the afternoon. So he was happy that he got a job. Every day he started going to cut the wood. After 10 days passed, the timber merchant thought, today I have to go and see what that guy is doing. So in the evening he goes to see how much wood he has cut, and he finds that a whole day he has cut only 15 pieces of wood. So he says, what has happened to you? Why has your efficiency come down in 10 days? The first day you cut 25 pieces of wood, and today you cut only 15 pieces of wood. What is the problem? So this guy says, well, I don't understand. I work the whole day. You can ask anyone. I'm not even lazy. The whole day I'm doing so much of effort, but I don't know why the number of the woods is coming down. So the timber merchant says, put some more effort. So he says, definitely from tomorrow I'll put some more effort. So the next day he puts more, makes hard work. Another 10 days pass, and the timber merchant feels, let me go and see what he's doing. So in the evening he goes to take a round, and he sees that in the whole day he has cut only 10 pieces of wood. So he says, what's the matter with you? Why is your efficiency coming down? In 20 days, you have cut only 10 pieces of wood. What's the problem? So this guy says, well, I don't understand what's happening with me. I put so much of effort. I do sincere work. I'm not even lazy. I do not sit also. But I don't know why the number of wood is coming down. So the timber merchant was an experienced person. So he asked him, tell me one thing. In these 20 days, how many times did you sharpen your axe? So this guy says, when do I get the time? The whole day I'm cutting wood. When do I get the time to sharpen the axe? I don't get time. Morning, immediately I come, I get on to work. So when do I get the time to sharpen the axe? Now what would you say to this person? What would you say? Sensible? Sensible? No. So the timber merchant said, what do you mean to say? You want some extra time, extra payment for sharpening the axe? The first thing you come in the morning is to sharpen your axe. And then you can see, in less effort you will do more work. This is, you're putting in more effort and less output is coming out from you. But this thing was not understood by that person. He did not understand the secret. The same thing with human beings is also happening in today's world. We are working so much. Every day our efficiency is coming down. Stress level is increasing. Anger is increasing. Anxiety is increasing. So many things are happening in life. Misunderstandings are being created in life. Small things irritating us. So much of confusion increasing in our life. Why? The axe is not sharpened. The intellect is not sharpened. Meditation is the only technique. Dhyana is the only technique to sharpen your axe. Wisdom is the only technique to sharpen off the rust that is on the intellect, to clear it off so that the axe is sharpened. The axe of the intellect gets sharpened so that you develop a clear focus. Stress level will come down, efficiency will increase, anger would come down. But when we ask human beings to come for satsang, to get the knowledge, to sharpen their axe, to do dhyan, come for meditation, what do they say? No time. When do we get the time to sharpen the axe? What do you mean to say? Is God going to give you an extra hour for that? Is going to increase the day from 24 to 25 hours? Even if He gives you one extra hour, we don't know where we are going to consume that also. We will not sharpen our axe. And we are doing lot of work, but the output that is coming out in life is less. And we are not happy in our life. Because we are only happy and satisfied when the output is more. And today the output is less, efforts are more, stress level is increasing, anger is increasing, misunderstandings are increasing, so much of confusion, turbulence in our life, efficiency is becoming less, and still we do not want to sharpen our axe. No time for that. What an understanding human beings have. So, it is Ravan Rajya. It is Ravan Rajya. What human beings need, bal, buddhi, bhakti, and earth. At the night time, if you see great cities, how much they are sparkling. It is like sparkling in gold. The lights are such that makes us look at the cities as if they are sparkling in gold, like Lanka. So earth, human beings have so much of. Today in the world, people are not poor. Let me tell you one thing. They are not poor with money. They are poor in their sanskaras, in their good codes and conducts of life. They are poor in their character. They are poor in their actions. They do not have the courage to perform elevated actions. They are poor because they are indulged in bad habits. The sanskars are there of poverty. Wealth-wise, they are not poor. Everyone is getting that much of amount in this world. God is providing that much of wealth which is needed for him for his livelihood. But what does he do with that wealth? The moment he earns, he will go for a liquor and spend the money in liquor, and then he has no food for his children, for his family. So this is the poverty that he has, the poverty of good character. There is no good character. He has no good habits. So that is the poverty of good sanskars. He does not have that. That is the poverty in human beings' life today. So this is Ravan Rajya, where we human beings have also mastered the 5 elements of nature and made them servants. How? Each one of us has binded all the 5 elements of nature in our house and made them servants. How? How have we made them servants? Indra. You open the tap and Indra is at your service. Water is at your service, isn't it? So we have made Indra, we have locked them up in taps. Vayu is at your service. We switch on the fan, switch on the AC, wherever we sit, and Vayu starts fanning you. Isn't it? So we have made Vayu servant. Agni. Agni, we have locked them in the knobs. Knobs of our stove. We switch on the stove and the Agni is there. So all the 5 elements of nature, we have turned them into servants. Haven't you not? So this is Ravan Rajya. This is Ravan Rajya. Okay? So for a few moments, let us reflect on what we have heard today, how we have to come out of this Ravan Rajya and go into the army of Ram Rajya. So it is my choice where I have to go, whether I have to go on the side of Ravan or whether I have to go on the side of Ram. I have to choose. So for a few moments, let us do a little bit of self-reflection. Go within and visualize yourself as a point of spiritual energy. This body is just like a costume that I have put on to play my role in this world drama. Focus your attention on the spiritual energy, which is so powerful. I, the soul, am master of the 5 sense organs. I am a pure being. With your mind's eye, visualize the aura of light around you. Slowly and gradually, I can see my mind is calming down. My thoughts are calming down, and I realize I am a peaceful being. I can feel the peace within. I can feel the vibrations of peace around me. Being in this world, I realize how I have to bring the teachings of Ramayana in my own life. Let me also make my life so pious, peaceful, full of maryadas, and become Maryada Purushottam and follow the footsteps of Sri Ram. Whatever may come, but leading such a disciplined life would always help me to elevate myself. It would help me to generate positive vibrations and make my mind positive. I do not have to get indulged in the army of Ravan, come under the spell of ego, because that is Ravan's property. I have to go in the army of Sri Ram. Become worship worthy like him. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.